that's when my Boy Scout leader, he did unspeakable things to me on the elevator. It was wrong on so many levels.
I was trapped in there for 5 hours, right?
Wrong on so many floors. What's that one show where they launched a pedophile into outer space so he couldn't harm any other children, but they accidentally...
They accidentally what?
It's a child in space.
What?
This is the dumbest premise. It's some, what do they call those fake news? Comedic news is a fake headline article.
Like Babylon
really stupid.
or Saturday Night Live or something.
Like that, yeah.
Hello.
Hello there.
Anyway,
Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
I'm Hatter. This is Holden.
That's me.
And welcome to the 133rd story, 133rd episode of Drunk Doctor Who,
Wherein we discuss the
133rd story, Frontios.
Frontios.
Yes.
My name is Felicia Day.
You're
Welcome
Holden.
to Geeks and Sundry.
What?
The Drunk Doctor Who podcast. You ever watch that show?
No.
The Felicia Day, she made The Guild. You ever see that show?
Seen The Guild.
The Guild, yeah. That's their YouTube channel is Geeks and Sundry. And they have Will Wheaton on to do the tabletop show.
I don't care as much for the board game show with Will Wheaton or whatever.
Oh, you don't like tabletop? With Will
No,
Wheaton?
not as much. But I do like.
I guess you've
Guild.
already played it. I did like The Guild a lot. Yeah.
Alright, today we're talking about Frontios.
Frontios.
4 episodes, aired from January 26, 1984 to February 3rd, 1984. Today's date is October 23rd, 2023. We're almost on the 60th anniversary of Doctor Who next month. 60th, yeah.
Next month?
Yeah.
Oh.
8 days from now.
They're doing a big special, right?
Well, they're doing 3 specials.
3 specials?
3 specials.
Wow. That's a lot.
Our companions are Tegan and Trillo, and our antagonists are the Tractators.
Tractators.
And Gravis, who's a Tractator. Now, we originally think there are other antagonists, but it turns out not the case.
Mm-hmm. These Tractators, they're, there's also Gravis. He's somewhat of a Tractator dictator.
The Queen Ant. The Queen Ant, yeah.
The dictator Tractator.
Alright, so did you enjoy this
they
serial?
called Hitler when he was little?
What?
Dictator Tot.
I know the original joke for that. This is my son, Tater Tot.
Yeah.
So did you enjoy this serial?
I really like this one. This one, I felt, had a great combination of different sci-fi tropes. We have these terrestrial, or subterranean, creatures. We have, they use tractor beams. They're called Tractators. You have the sort of hive mind guy in charge of it all. I just thought it was really well done with the whole humanity on the brink of extinction. It's nothing we haven't seen before, but they really took a bunch of different tropes and really rolled them together well, and came up with great characters, great villains, great plot.
It works out pretty well, and they do a really good job with the budget.
And it was action-packed.
Yeah, this could have been 6 episodes. In the old days, it would have been 6 episodes.
4 full episodes.
It moves very frenetically.
Short recaps.
Yeah. The recap at the beginning of episode 3 was a little long, but most of the time they were fairly short. Yeah. Alright, so basically the Dr. Trillo and Tegan are in the TARDIS, and the Doctor is working on some weird stuff. He's acting like...
He's rearranging the TARDIS control room, and he has to get rid of this hat rack because no one are hat people.
No, he's in the back working on something.
Oh, yeah.
And he's acting like Caractacus Potts.
Caractacus Potts?
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang?
Oh, okay.
You remember when Dick Van Dyke takes everything into the garage?
Yeah.
Like, he takes the boat in the garage, he takes this in the garage, he takes everything in the garage, and they don't know what he's doing, but he's working in there. It's exactly what the Doctor's doing. He's like, you hear him working in there, you don't know what he's doing, and then he comes out and grabs a hat rack and takes it in there, and it's like, okay.
I think he was looking for the other hat rack. But he's going to put that hat rack beside.
Right, but the whole mystery behind everything that's going on and all the weird noises is very much like
It's
Professor Potts and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Slapstick kind
of. So, yeah, the doctor comes out and he's working on stuff and.
Sound.
Huh?
I'm just trying to think of a phrase.
Okay. And apparently the TARDIS had gone out to the outer reaches of the galaxy of what the Time Lords know, and ended up on Vesuvius, or what's the name of the planet?
I should have wrote that down.
Okay. Venusian or something?
I might have wrote it down.
Well, they call it Frontios is the planet, but the name of the system is Vesuvian or something.
Oh, I don't know the system.
Yeah, and
Frontios.
And the doctor's like, oh, well, how ironic, because way out in this time frame, this is where some of the last of the Earth people are.
Yeah.
After the sun exploded, and which we actually get to see in the new stuff. Episode 2 of Series 1.
Oh.
You get to see when the sun explodes and go see Earth. So these are some of the people who fled that.
Yeah. A colony ship was fleeing Earth as their star was dying out, and then I'm sure the explosion helped hurtle them to the edge of the known solar systems on whatever this system was called, Polaris. And they colonized this. Well, they crash land on Frontios, and they spent about 10 years colonizing it. And that's what they're looking at now. They pull it up on the TARDIS screen, and he goes, "There's Frontios. There's a colonization of some of the last of humanity." And Tegan goes, "Oh, those are my people, humans." He's like, "Yes, those are humans." And she goes, "Let's go visit them." And he goes, "Nope,
we can't. It's against Time Lord law, non-intervention, yada 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 yada
Tegan
yada."
says, "That's never stopped you before."
Exactly. True. And the doctor's like, "No, we can't. No, we can't. No, we can't." And then the TARDIS gets locked into a gravity beam, and it gets pulled down to the planet and crash lands
during a
meteor
storm. Yeah.
And this is weird. Okay, there's a bunch of weird things that happens with the TARDIS this serial.
So weird.
It doesn't get locked in gravity beams very often, but it does in this one. Although, to be fair, remember the Web of Fear?
It was kind of on the
when the web engulfed the TARDIS.
Oh yeah, I do remember.
Yeah, very weird. But occasionally, some technologies will get around the TARDIS's defenses. The meteorite strike affected it, which normally it wouldn't.
That's probably how it got caught up in the tractor beam. Yeah, it was being
something. But normally the meteorites wouldn't affect it, and it gets destroyed, which normally it couldn't.
Yeah, I still don't really know what to think about that.
A lot of things happen in this, like Deus Ex Machina, the hand of God is just, we need this to happen for the plot, so it's going to happen for the plot. So anyway.
Deus, but you're Cajuns, so you pronounce it Deus Ex Machina.
Deus Ex Machina, yeah. Alright, so...
That's how the Creoles would say it, right?
Yeah, alright. So, apparently on this planet, things are really, really rough. They have daily, if not multi-daily, meteorite showers. They've survived on this planet after they crash landed for 40 years. And people go missing all the time. Tons of people missing. The Earth swallows them like it's hungry. And we'll see something akin to that in the new stuff when the Silurians come back.
Oh, the Silurians are coming back.
Yeah. Now these guys, the Terractors, we never see again.
That's that's on the
list.
questions.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you now. We never see them again.
The Tractators because
the Tractators.
They kind of just dropped him off on a planet. It's like, oh well, that's just setting him up for another.
Well, we haven't seen them again thus far.
Yeah. He might still come back.
Ravis. The Celestial Toymaker has not been seen since 1965, and he's coming back. Yeah, for next month for the 60th. Just crazy.
That's got to be some sort of record.
Close.
The longest hiatus between.
Well, I told you the record that was set by the actor who played Ian.
Oh, playing Ian again?
So, in Power of the Doctor, the last episode of Whittaker, the most recent Doctor Who episode to air.
Mm-hmm.
They have a meeting of a bunch of Doctor Who's companions. It's kind of like a support group.
Oh.
And the guy who played Ian is still alive and was there. He's 98. And he shows up in the episode. And it was a Guinness Book of World Records record for the same actor playing the same character on the same show with distance between the appearances. It was 57 years between his last appearance on Doctor Who and his most recent appearance on Doctor Who.
Did he marry Barbara?
It's not discussed. Well,
he did.
It's heavily alluded to in class.
Because of the college campus name or something?
No. It's a basically what we would call high school, but it's set at the same school that Susan attended, Coal Hill School.
Oh, yeah.
It's set in the same school, and it's during the Capaldi era. But yeah, it was one of the spin-offs to cover one of the gap years.
It makes sense that Ian would be hosting a support group. I can see how the Doctor Who companions...
Ian was not hosting it.
He wasn't. Oh, he was...
He was in it, but it was being hosted by Graham. We'll meet Graham in about 5 to 7 more years.
Ian said, "Hi, my name is Ian." Everyone said, "Hi, Ian." He said, "The Doctor almost killed me in one of his adventures." They go, "Oh, me too." One of the characters was talking about the Doctor, how amazing she is. And he goes, "What do you mean she?" And that's basically all he said. Oh, that's the
only...
Dude,
at 98, you don't give him a lot of lines. I mean, although, to be fair, Dick Van Dyke could still, today, do an entire show. The guy's amazing.
Man, he's getting old.
He is.
Did he not pass away yet?
No, he's still alive.
How old is he?
He's like 98.
98,
yeah, something like that.
I'm trying to think of the last thing I've seen him in.
Night
at the Museum.
Mel Brooks is still alive.
Yeah, he's
98 around too.
Doing a whole lot though.
Okay, so anyway, they crash land on the planet. The Doctor's companions come out, and there's several people who were injured during the meteorite storm. Mm-hmm. The Doctor, Turlough, and Tegan assist them. And Tegan's a boss here. She's like, "All right, help them, bring them over here." And she finds the medical facility immediately. I don't know if it's luck or she just sniffed it out, but she goes directly to the sick bay. Mm. And they get them in there, and then the Doctor's attempting to assist.
Rendering aid. The lighting is very sparse, so
yeah.
The Doctor's really doing nothing but complaining.
Okay. Prior to this, on the planet, we saw the leader of the people on the planet, Captain Revere.
This was the precursor before.
Yeah, precursor before that. Yeah. Captain Revere was helping to dig up rocks under this one area, and he gets sucked under by the planet after he gets hit by things. Yeah.
Yeah, the meteor storm causes a cave-in.
Yep.
He's pinned. When they go back, they see him swallowed by the Earth, which apparently has been going around
a lot, but they officially deny it.
Yes.
So the main guy, what was his name?
The new Plantagenet?
No.
Brazen,
which is great because Revere is revered. Brazen is brazen.
Chief Orderly.
Yeah.
Which is like the captain of the guard.
Yeah, something like that. He's like, "All right, we're shutting down the research room." And they go and they shut down this research room with all these scientists. Mm-hmm. And they're like, "What? Everything?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Because I was told very specifically, an order by Captain Revere, should he die, to shut down the research room." So they shut everything down. Even the little deal that allows them to try to communicate, but they haven't found anyone outside ever.
Yeah, I don't know, past 40 years or something. So
yeah.
So shut it all up. It's like, the plastic coverings you put on the furniture when you leave the house.
Yeah.
It just boards everything up.
What are you drinking?
Oh, I'm drinking Cayman Jack. The variety pack. This is the Paloma. What is that, cancer?
It means dove. It's Spanish for dove.
Oh, I'm thinking of papilloma.
Okay.
Paloma is, I guess,
It's Spanish for duck.
Grapefruit juice and agave nectar. Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm drinking Magma Flame.
Magma Flame,
And I have Trulies for after the Magma Flames so that I can keep drinking but not get wasted. I just keep the buzz going a bit.
Oh, okay.
So no, don't get completely trashed, but just drink until you get the good buzz, and then slightly maintain it and let it go down with 70 proof, 10 proof.
You do your pregame, you catch up, and then you just nurse your beer for the rest of the night. Maintain that. Don't overindulge. So those are like a sparkling thing. Are those keto friendly?
Keto enough.
Keto enough. Right?
Yeah, they're like you can have a couple, maybe 3, but they're low on carbs and sugar.
Okay, here you go.
Right. So
and they taste nice.
All right. So anyway, and there's the other one, of course, White Claw. Trulies are in the same boat with White Claws.
Yeah.
All right. So
seltzers have really been getting popular. Everyone's coming out with their own seltzers. You know those Mexican orange sodas, the Jarritos?
No.
Even they made their own Jarritos soda seltzer.
What's it called?
Jarritos hard seltzer. And then Mountain Dew made the hard Mountain Dew seltzers.
Really? I haven't seen that.
Yeah, everyone's coming out with their alcoholic seltzers. Everybody.
Okay. All right.
Real popular.
The doctor is trying to help. He goes in the medical area, and there's the chief scientist, Range.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting name. Like I say, everybody's kind of named for what they do here, oddly enough. And Range is the chief scientific officer, but he also seems to double as a medical officer. And he's trying to help people, and the doctor's trying to help people. And then the doctor goes, well, this light is horrible.
You get the sense that they're kind of wearing multiple hats because they're kind of short-staffed as of yet.
Really short-staffed.
A lot of deserters, a lot of people dying.
Yeah.
They're not exactly thriving on Frontios.
No. So the doctor tries to help. He says, well, we need more light. And they come up with, what do they call those lights?
It's like a glow stick. It was
kind of, but I forget what they call it exactly.
It wasn't hydrogen. It was
the hydrogen thing was the machine that wasn't working.
Yeah, and then they had that battery. It's very volatile,
It's essentially a glow stick. Yeah. It's like a big electric glow stick with batteries or something. Anyway, so the doctor's like, we need better light, and Turlo and Tegan and Range's daughter, what's her name?
Norna.
Norna? Norna.
Which is a weird name.
Go off to get
battery, some acid battery.
Right. It's a big acid battery that they get from the wind power, and they store the energy in the battery, and then they use that. But they have to sneak around to get it. So they go up to the top of the ship, they go across, they go down, and they manage to sneak around. They manage to get the battery.
She tells the guard that she needs to go in as the Revere's gone missing, so his son's taken over as the Plantagenet.
No, his name is Plantagenet.
Oh, his name is. I thought that was the rank.
No. His name is Plantagenet.
Oh.
So, it said in the credits Plantagenet in the guy's name.
Oh, okay.
Which. My fact-checking wife happened to know, but that was the name of the British royal house from like 700 AD to 1100 AD or something like that.
Cool.
Plantagenet. I didn't know that was a word or a name.
So he's the son of Revere.
Yes.
And Revere's gone missing. They think he's dead.
He's dead.
Yeah, so Plantagenet takes over, what is his name? Gravis?
Plantagenet takes over.
Brazen goes in to grab him. He's briefing them. They're walking out.
Right, because apparently leadership here is dynastical. Although Captain Revere was probably the captain of the ship originally, and he's been ruling for the last 40 years.
So they're coming out of this bay area. As Norna's going in, you have Tegan and Turlo hiding around the corner. There's the gate guard. And Norna, for some reason, she goes, I need to go in here for medical supplies, which isn't a lie. She's or well, not medical supplies, but they need the battery for the medical bay.
Yeah.
So they go, okay, go in. And
So like, give us the supplies. Why are you hoarding them? And Plantagenet's like, okay, make sure she can get access to the supplies.
But only her. So Tegan and Turlo still need to sneak in, so they make a distraction. The guard comes out, or they make a noise. The guard comes around this way, and they go around back that way. So Norna and Turlo and Tegan have snuck in. Brazen, he's the captain of the guard, goes, "What was that noise?" And he goes, "It wasn't me." He's like, "I'm gonna go."
Were you responsible for that noise, orderly? No, sir. All right, keep a lookout. And
they very Scooby-Doo moment, right?
Yeah.
And why couldn't he have just been like, "Hey, we need a battery in there for the sick bay"?
The guards are called.
I guess they might have said no.
Right, the guards are called the orderlies.
Mm-hmm.
The head guard is called the chief orderly.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know why specifically. This is just their culture of Earthlings at this point.
Yeah, there's a colony ship that's kind of had to. Well, it's made a crash landing, and they've kind of just pulled together this weird authority structure for their colony.
Emergency measures.
Yeah, it's kind of everything's under martial law. They feel like they're being attacked because someone has to be bombarding them by these asteroids, but they don't know who. So everything's kind of very paranoia.
Yeah, very paranoid. So, like, there were like 10,000 colonists. Most of them died in the crash. Others have abandoned the place.
They call them Rets. Retrograders.
Right. They are deserters. Others are simply tons of death in this place. Lots of people. How many people died in this serial?
2.
2.
A lot of people went missing, but then came back because they were swallowed by the Earth. 2 of them, but they were still alive. But then I guess Revere really kind of died, so that makes 3. So
Revere finally dies after he kind of dies earlier, but then he finally dies.
There's about 4 on-screen deaths and maybe 1 or 2 off-screen deaths.
Okay. The guy who wanted the water.
3.
Revere.
Guy wanted water?
Yeah, remember the guy on the floor who wanted the water? They gave him the water, and she said it wouldn't help. It won't help, won't it? And he goes, no. And they're carrying him out on a...
Oh, yeah, the stretcher.
Yeah.
That's one of the off-screen. So, like, 3 or 4 on-screen, 1 or 2 off-screen deaths.
Yeah. So not too bad. It seems like there's more because a lot of people get sucked in the earth, but you find out later on, at least some of them are still alive.
There's a whole bunch of moments where, like, oh, he's dead. Oh, wait, no, he's not. Like, even...
But yeah, Brazen dies. Brazen uses his will to blow up the machine. Yeah,
I think 4.
Yeah. So okay. So anyway, out comes. What the heck's it?
Norna?
No, Planet, whatever.
Planet?
Yeah, the guy.
Frontios?
No.
What planet?
No, the main guy, the leader.
The Plantagenet.
Plantagenet. So Plantagenet comes out with Brazen, and they go to meet the doctor, and Plantagenet is accusing the doctor of being an enemy and being responsible for the oncoming meteorites and all that.
They're on lockdown, the doctor shows up, they think the doctor's the bad guy trope.
This is the first time they've seen it.
Yeah.
It's the first time they've seen it, period.
I mean, a lot of time, this happens a lot to the doctor. It's like, he shows up during a time of, chaos, and they're like, oh, it must be you. You're the bad guy.
Happens a lot.
It happens a lot,
So, the doctor tries to convince him he's not at fault, yada, 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 yada. And the Range, the medical doctor, the scientist, is defending the doctor. Mm-hmm. And this goes back and forth for a bit. And Range is like, look, he's helping the patients. He's not a bad guy. He's a good guy. And this goes on. And then the doctor's like, look, let me show you my TARDIS. We'll go to the TARDIS. And I'll show it to you. It'll be good.
Yeah. He goes, how did you land? There's not a scratch on you during the meteorite storm. He's like, I was in the TARDIS. nice technology. He's like, prove it. He's like, I'll show you the TARDIS. And they walk outside, and there's the hat rack.
No, not yet.
No, not yet.
Okay, in the meantime,
Tegan,
Turlo, and Norna have gone off to get the battery.
Mm-hmm.
They managed to get the battery by evading a bunch of stuff, by going around because the research room had been locked up. They go on the top of the ship, but that can indicate to the guards they're there because they can hear them on the top. Yeah. They come down.
The guards up top get distracted by they've rationed some extra food, and they're all sitting around having crackers. They escape. Then on their way down, they get caught again, but they accidentally knock the guy unconscious.
The Watcher.
The Watcher, yeah, the gate guard, because they hit the battery. They're lowering it on the.
Boom! Hits him in the head, knocks him out. Okay.
He goes, "You're not supposed to be in here." He's like, "Look out!"
Okay.
So
at this point,
a coma, and they're helping him out. He's caught them, and
oh my gosh, they sound
like he's too concussed to worry about it anymore.
Yeah. At this point, the Doctor bumps into them, and he's like, "Go get that battery in," and then the bombardment happens.
Another bombardment. Revere brings up the rear with Brazen because they're kind of pushing him around.
Revere?
Revere, no.
Plantagenet.
Yeah.
Revere's son.
And he's clutching his chest like he's like chest pains or like a heart attack or something. And Brazen's like, "Were you hit?" He's like, "No, I'm fine."
Yeah. So all these meteorites hit. The Doctor, Tegan, and Turlo kind of duck away, and they do that again a couple of times. Well, let's go to the TARDIS.
Yeah,
let's just get the heck out of here. Finally,
Nope.
They duck around again because the meteorites hit.
Doctor doesn't really want to be there. He thinks he's going to get in trouble with the Time Lords because he's
interfering. So finally, the bombardment kind of stops, and the Doctor, Tegan, and Turlo go to where the TARDIS was. And there's nothing there except the hat rack that the Doctor had moved earlier. Mm-hmm. Like nothing. Just a hat rack kind of sticking in the ground and maybe a little bit of rubble. Mm-hmm. And the Doctor's like, the TARDIS is destroyed.
Dun dun.
End of episode 1. Okay, this could have seriously been a 6-parter. There's so much happening in this.
Yeah, it's a lot.
In the old days, it would have absolutely been a 6-parter.
Yeah, the older serials were a lot more steady, slower pace, kind of.
Not necessarily. Well, sometimes they were drawn out, but sometimes you needed that much space to do everything. Mm-hmm. The modern stuff the 80s stuff is all clip, pretty short.
Exactly.
With the exception of the 2 Doctors, which is 6 episodes. Mm-hmm. And if you go back far enough into Tom Baker in the mid-late 70s, you get like Genesis of the Daleks. You get some of those that are 6 episodes. Mm-hmm. But in the 80s, it's all super fast because they had stories to tell. They didn't have enough time or budget to tell them. They didn't have enough episodes.
It's also like, well, that resulted in the storytelling kind of evolving because before it was very old school stage direction and drawn out and with gravitas.
You see a little bit of stage direction in this, just a bit.
Yeah, nowadays it's a lot more, a faster clip, a lot more chaotic, and conversations are a lot more urgent. Whereas back then it was more like a dun dun, and now it's like I don't know.
Correct. Especially here in the 80s, and then in the modern stuff it gets even faster paced. When a lot of stories are 1 hour long period. Although we have a couple of those. Next week, this is 2 episodes, which is, a little less than an hour, 50 minutes.
That's the 60th?
No. Our next story, the Resurrection of the Daleks is 2 episodes. Our last serial was 2 episodes. Mm-hmm. So sometimes they're like boom, 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 like that. All right. Any questions for episode 1?
Episode 1, what happened to the TARDIS?
We don't know. We find out later. Something. I don't know if it was the crazy gravitational pull. I don't know if it was the TARDIS being so far off course. I don't know if it was the Doctor fiddling with stuff. But for some strange reason, the TARDIS gets hit by meteorites, pulled into gravitational pull, nearly destroyed and broken up into fragmented pieces underground during this. It's just really weird.
It's an old Type 40.
Yeah.
And it's having some issues. They're struggling to even pilot it when it gets caught up in an asteroid storm. And then the asteroid, being pelted by asteroids, was enough to weaken its defenses to where it got caught in the tractor beam. And then the fact that it never materialized or landed on the planet, I think, had it in sort of a phase to where the TARDIS was struggling to materialize once it crash landed. And that's what kind of made it fluctuate to where the doors got stuck, to where they couldn't open up the door.
They're sent in for the medical supplies and they can't get through the doors because it was jammed.
And then that eventually boiled over into a catastrophic dematerialization where the TARDIS kind of like breaks apart and disappears. I think it got swallowed by the Earth,
it left the hat.
it is getting swallowed and then dematerialized and tried to rematerialize, and it couldn't, so it kind of semi-materialized around a cavernous...
the closest we see to this in the future...
That's my explanation.
...is on Trenzalore.
Trenzalore. Other thing like this happens.
Kinda. The TARDIS changes its dimensions to fit its actual dimensions much bigger, much better. But of course, it's a grave marker for the Doctor.
Grave marker?
Yeah, for the Doctor.
Oh, okay. Ominous.
On Trenzalore, yeah. We'll get there.
Is that the newer stuff, I'm guessing?
Oh, yeah. That is the 11th Doctor.
That being said, I'm impressed by the scope of the sets. How they made the custom TARDIS interior with like all the rocks kind of meshed in with it.
It starts out and you're not too terribly impressed, but as it goes along, there are more and more and more sets in this once you get along in the story, and they're more and more creative and interesting, and you're like, they spent the budget money pretty well on this one.
Yeah, and that's something we're used to is with the shortened budget, they're reusing a lot of sets, so they'll have like these few core rooms that they go and read.
Yeah.
This is very branched out. You have these tunnels, and then the TARDIS, and then the custom TARDIS, and then the med bay, and this bay.
And the research lab, and the outdoors, and it was really interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looked like they were... One of the sets looked really familiar, like they used it before, but then they kind of dressed it up with a few different props.
That was the top of the colony ship.
Yeah.
But we couldn't tell. We weren't 100% sure.
It wasn't positive, but it looks like they're really using their resources to dress up different sets and reuse stuff. It's very expansive, all the different locations, set locations they're filming on.
Yeah, it was
more so than usual.
It was interesting. It was good. Okay, so episode 2.
They walk out. The TARDIS is destroyed, and then Plantagenet comes out and goes, where's this TARDIS?
Right, with like 20 soldiers behind him, right? he has Brazen, and they have like 20 soldiers.
Okay. Alright, gigs up.
And Range and Norna. And so the gig's up, and so Plantagenet's like, alright, Doctor, I know you're our enemy. You brought this down upon us. And the Doctor's like, no, I didn't. I'm willing to help you, as I've been helping you. You want to find out where these rocks are coming from? Because then they'll tell us a lot. Mm-hmm. Although, we almost never find that.
Well, it is, just the asteroid belt.
Yeah, it turns out the planet broken up, yeah. He's like, I think you should examine these rocks. And he's like, well, no, I think you're the bad guy, and we should execute you. And Brazen's like, yes, execute him now. And right then, Norna runs in front of the Doctor and says, no, if he's the bad guy, he knows what's going on. We should find out what's going on. Uh-huh. So she turns around and she asks the Doctor, well, what's going on? And the Doctor's like, I don't know, but I'm willing to help you find out. I am not the bad guy. So, Plantagenet is like, yeah,
Not buying it.
We're not buying it. We're going to execute you, doctor. The doctor's like,
off with their heads.
well, if you're going to execute me, you should get on with it. And they're like, okay. And they hold him back, and they're about to shoot him. The doctor's like, this is not at all how I imagined this would go. And then Turlo, in an act of desperation, Tegan had gone off with range to get the light going. Turlo grabs the hat rack that had been stuck in the ground, and there's a discharge of energy, which apparently was leftover auton energy from the TARDIS. And the people see this kind of explosion, and they think the hat rack is a weapon.
They're like, this is what was responsible for the meteorites. And they go,
exactly, Brazen says that.
Weapon of mass destruction, and Turlo's flinging this coat rack around and stay back. Nobody move.
Turlo plays it off perfectly. They believe it perfectly. It's the old "this is my boomstick" setup from Evil Dead. You remember that?
Yeah.
This is my boomstick. Is that whole scenario?
I've watched with Bruce Campbell, right?
Yeah, of course.
I've only seen the Army of Darkness. Yeah.
That's the one I'm referring to, Army of Darkness. Okay. This is my boomstick.
He gets the robot hand.
Yeah.
Groovy.
So anyway, Turlo pulls it off perfectly. The doctor plays along. The doctor's like, look, I want to help you. Where can I do an investigation on these meteorites? And Norno's like, well, that would be the research laboratory. He's like, the research lab. But it's been locked down. He's, take me to it. And he looks at Turlo and goes, Turlo, if they won't take me to it? And Turlo's like, I don't know what to do with the hat rack. So they go to the lab. While they're in the lab, after they get in, Plantagenet snuck in a crowbar from one of the orderlies who had removed the gate to allow them in. And he's about to attack. He's literally attacking Turlo, about to hit him over the head with it. And then he falls over like he's had a heart attack. And he falls down. And the doctor grabs a hat rack, sets it down, and says, okay, this joke's going on long enough. And he goes to Plantagenet and opens his shirt, and there's a piece of shrapnel in his chest from the meteorites.
Yeah. Go Rangers.
Football or baseball?
Fastball in the side of a batter.
Baseball.
Oh, ouch. Wait, the football game's not on?
Take a base.
Alright, so the Rangers are playing the Astros right now to see who goes to the World Series. Game 7. Tied 3-3, of course. That's how you get to Game 7. And the Rangers are up like 8-3 or something like that over the Astros. The Astros have made it to the World Series the last several years.
I don't think they're going to win it.
I'm praying they do. I want them to. Anyway, so the Astros are now a dynasty, the current Astros. They have a dynasty.
Why is that?
Because they've won the World Series enough times in a short enough period of years.
Oh.
The same way when you win the Super Bowl enough times in a short enough period of years, you become a dynasty. Dallas did that in the 80s. Steelers did that in the 70s. Patriots did that in the teens. Stuff like that. Cleveland Browns did that back in the 40s before the Super Bowl era.
I thought a dynasty was just like a royal Asian family.
Well, a dynasty is a royalty, but it can also mean something that is so winning in sports.
It means something that's
continuously
generational.
Yeah, continuously awesome. In sports, a dynasty is when you win enough over a short period of time.
Makes sense.
When America won the America's Cup in yachting, we won it for like 40 or 50 years in a row. And it was like the World's Cup, but they called it the America's Cup because we kept winning it.
Oh.
And then finally the Australians beat us or somebody like that. I remember
You're talking
that.
about football?
No, yachting.
Yachting?
Yachting.
Is that like rowing? Or?
No. It's when you race a yachts around.
Kind of like that one serial.
Yeah, exactly, Enlightenment. So we won it so many years in a row, they quit calling it the World's Cup, they called it the America's Cup. But then we lost to like the Australians. But we had a dynasty for a long time. Sometimes those things, happen.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I want the Astros to win and continue the dynasty. All right, so the doctor takes Plantagenet over to the medical bay, and he's trying to help him.
They brought the battery in, they hooked up the lights, and he's like, "Oh, good job! Now tear it all down. We need it." So he rigs together this, kind of like a resuscitation heart shock panel. Defibrillator, yeah, with the battery.
Right.
Shocking him.
Right. With he doesn't have the paddles. They just have the energy leads from the battery and wet cloths.
Mm-hmm.
And so they do that for a really basic defibrillator, and he manages after a couple 3 tries to revive Plantagenet.
Yeah.
And Brazen is there, and Brazen's like, "Oh, you killed him, da. And then right then Plantagenet comes back. And to be fair, I love Brazen's character arc.
Mm-hmm.
He starts out as an absolute xenophobic. These guys are the bad guys. These guys are the enemy. I think only in this narrow fashion. And he grows over the period of this day. Did this all happen in one day?
Yeah, you get the pretty much,
Yeah.
maybe
He grows during the course of this day. At this moment, he sees the doctor save his leader's life, Plantagenet, and he goes, maybe this isn't the bad guy.
Okay.
Maybe he is the good guy he claims to be. And he grows, and I love that. And he does it several more times over the course of the serial. Until at the end, he sacrifices himself to save everyone else.
Yeah,
it's beautiful. It's gorgeous, So anyway, Plantagenet wakes up. Plantagenet's like, "I don't know about you," and the doctor, and Brazen's like, "Really? He just saved your life." And Plantagenet's like, "Oh, maybe I should trust you, doctor," And that was great.
Yeah, I really like. I'd say Brazen was probably the best character in this serial. You get the sense that he's been conditioned over these several, decades of this narrow-minded thinking of paranoia. He's very militarized, and he's conditioned, to think of this very protective, paranoid. We're under attack. We
obeys orders.
Deserting, So and then he's introduced to the doctor and his companions, and he views them under that same defensive light. And then they kind of, show him that they're good people, and you get this. He steps up to the plate and he goes, "Oh, I was wrong about these people, and they're good people, and I have to do good things too. They help us, I help them." And there's this total character growth, like you said, over, the course of this one day. It was really well written, where you get him. He's kind of the enemy at first, right? He's distrustful. He wants to execute them. He puts them in. He wants to imprison them, and then eventually he turns them to their saving grace, right? He sacrifices himself.
Right. And to be fair, in the same day, he sees Captain Revere die, or at least he thinks he's dead. And then he sees Plantagenet die, or at least he thinks he's dead. And he does his darndest to hold the colony together.
It's very duty-driven. Yeah.
Right. He knows his duty is to hold that colony together, and he does everything in his power, all the way to death, to hold the colony together. And his dying action is to save Plantagenet and the rest of them. Yeah. And it's really well written, really well done.
It's great art.
It's not Davidson's best serial. That's actually yet to come. Okay. But it's really, really good in terms of the writing, especially for Brazen, and I would also argue a bit for Plantagenet.
Yeah.
And I like Range.
I like Norna. She was a decent character.
She was good. She was the youthful "I'm fighting it," which is good. Range had a lot of protection for his daughter, and I like that.
Yeah,
but he stepped up when necessary, and Turlo stepped up when necessary.
This paranoid colony that's struggling to survive, and she's like the one youthful, still optimistic character of it. And you see how she kind of got that from her father, as her father's kind of, that Plantagenet and Brazen are very paranoid and strict, and her dad were very more, hopeful, I guess.
Yeah.
Would be the word.
Yeah. So, anyway, the doctor helps save Plantagenet, and then he says, okay, you need to rest, stay here, rest. And the doctor's like, I need to go help finish the analysis where he left Turlo and Norna. And Plantagenet's like, well, and he's like, come on, Tegan. And Plantagenet's, well, leave Tegan so we all know we trust each other. You could consider a hostage situation, or you could consider it an actual proper trust situation. We don't know Plantagenet's motives, although it's kind of suspect. But Tegan stays, and the doctor says, okay, will you come with me, Range? And he does. So they head off. In the meantime, the doctor and Range leave. Brazen tells one of the orderlies, the guards, to keep an eye on him. And Plantagenet has this weird spasm, falls off of his berth onto the floor, and they get sucked down by the earth with Tegan watching.
Yeah. Just before that, Tegan had just discovered she was helping with the med bay stuff.
Yeah.
There's this left open drawer, and she saw this document labeled "Deaths Unaccountable."
Yes.
And then she quickly closes it to feign that she hadn't seen it, but then realizes that it locked, and she's
trying to unlock it.
But she's pulled away when she hears Plantagenet go, help me, and she goes over to try and help him. She sees him being swallowed by the earth. Right as he disappears, Brazen comes in and he goes, where is Plantagenet? What have you done with him? He's swallowed by the earth.
They're deaths cannibal and unaccountable. Yeah. And he goes, where have you heard that?
What have you seen? Where do you know?
She actually got stopped because Range stopped her. And she mentioned what she had seen, and he says, forget you ever saw that.
Right.
And then that's when everything happened. They get caught with the doctor. So Brazen is like, death's unaccountable. This is horrible stuff. And he's like, where have you heard that? And she says, well, Range had it in a drawer. And he's like, Range has been spreading all these lies. Yeah. So his mental note is that Range is
tantamount to treason.
Treason, yeah. He's now casting disinformation. God, I hate that word. Disinformation on everything. And despite the fact that
you don't like disinformation.
No, I don't like the whole.
I prefer dat information over
No, I hate the whole label of disinformation. It used to be. It used to use it on actual disinformation, like the Russians saying that something was A when everyone knows it's B.
Right.
No, that's disinformation. We know it's B.
Propaganda.
Nowadays, it's used propaganda. Nowadays, it's used constantly on actual facts to discredit actual facts. Yeah. It's like saying Galileo, when he said that the Earth revolves around the sun. Well, that's disinformation. No, it's fact. Yeah. But you calling it disinformation doesn't change a Catholic Church, But it's the same thing going on today.
Kind of the same as it always has been.
Same as it ever was.
People use
same as it ever was. Same as it ever was. Where was my hand was?
I don't know that one.
Once in a Lifetime by the Talking Heads.
The Talking Heads sounds familiar. Is that a band?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll show you the video for Once in a Lifetime. Once we're done here.
Yeah.
It's fun and messed up, but same as it ever was. Same as it ever was. You start at the elbow. Same as it ever was.
That's
look where my hand was.
Sign language?
No, it's just this weird video.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So, like I said, tons happened in this. Should have been 6 episodes. So they're running around, and Turlo and Norna were doing the lab results of the meteorite. But then Turlo's like, why in the world is this? My battery backup came on. I don't know why. All right. He's like, why in the world is this hook here that allows us to get the battery out? It wasn't put in here just for us.
Yeah.
So he's like, okay, he's looking around and he realizes that there's a metal plate on the floor in the lab where he can hook it into to lift it up, which they do. And this is probably why the whole lab was shut down when Revere died, was to keep people from going down there.
That's right where he got swallowed.
Yeah, so they go down there, because Turlo's like, wait, you said that the caverns and the quarry was shut down when you were a child, but here are samples, and some of the dates are very recent. So they end up going down these caves underneath the laboratory and the research lab, and they go down and wandering around and wandering around and wandering around.
Why did she say it's been closed for decades?
The quarry, not underneath the lab, but the actual quarry. Because
So
they first got there,
tunneled through the lab into the quarry.
well,
For research.
they or the tractators with their machine. The quarry may have been completely off different in a different set of caves. Maybe not even be connected to any of this. We don't know.
Expanding.
But we don't know. We don't know if any of this was any of it was connected to the quarry at all. But anyway, so
that's a good point.
yeah. So Norna tells him that when she was a child, Captain Revere had told her that the Earth was hungry and it swallowed people. And so Turlo's getting this like little tickle in his mind. They go down into the tunnels underneath the research lab, and Turlo's like, something's familiar. Something's familiar. She keeps going, and he follows her.
She's Turlo's getting cold feet. He's let's turn back.
Yeah,
No,
normal Turlo stuff, but in this case, really justifiable. He's like, no, I don't know about this. She's like, no, what are you, chicken? Let's go on. Or, so they keep going, and eventually Turlo, it just hits him suddenly. It's like, boom. He's like, Tractators. And he recognizes everything from either his memory or his ancestral memory that this is the species that destroyed his planet. And he goes into shell shock, what today's called PTSD, originally shell shock, and he's just freaking out.
You ever watch The Boys, season 3?
No, I saw the first season and I had enough. Okay. I got to the point where
it's pretty dark. Yeah.
The last character I could identify with went bad, and I'm like, no, I'm done. I can't identify with any of these people. I'm done.
So I'm guessing you didn't really like Breaking Bad either?
Haven't seen it.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to watch a show that glorifies a drug dealer.
I wouldn't say he's glorified.
I don't want a show that justifies
a
drug dealer.
Cautionary tale.
No,
he's definitely a bad guy.
I don't want to see it. No, I'm good.
Okay.
Alright, anyway, so Turlo freaks out. He goes all shell shock. In the meantime, the doctor and Range have made it to the laboratory. They figure out what's going on. They go down.
Yeah, the doctor says, stay here. They must have gone down here. I'm going to search for him. And Range goes, my daughter might have gone down there. He's like, well,
the doctor goes down. Eventually,
Range
Range goes down. In the meantime, Tegan manages to escape from the medical center.
Yeah.
She goes over there because she was there before when they helped get the battery out. She goes there, and then she goes down there to find everyone else. The party split up, but the party's getting back together again underground. And eventually, Turlo comes lilting back, and the doctor and Range had met up, and Turlo comes back, and the doctor takes Turlo, and Turlo is just catatonic. Doctor tells Range to watch Turlo. Doctor moves on to go get Norna, who's still up front in the cavern. Then eventually Tegan shows up. Tegan's like, oh, okay. And Range is like, we have to watch him. Tegan's like, great, I gotta go with the doctor. And she keeps going. Eventually, the doctor catches up with Norna, sends her back. But Tegan eventually, the doctor had heard from Turlo about tractators. And so eventually the doctor comes into a cavern and sees these prawn-like creatures. Now, not the prawn-like creature, different prawn-like creature.
Roly-poly exoskeleton on the back half, very prawn-like on the front half.
Different from the one when the doctor got shrunk and when the creature got big. So they run these prawn-like creatures, and they're the tractators. And there's like, oh, so these are the tractators. And then he sees Tegan coming up from the other side. He goes, no, Tegan, no, get back. She gets back, but one of the prawn things sees him. And you see that they have Norna ensconced in a tractor beam, in a gravity beam. And then when one of them sees the doctor, he pulls the doctor forward. And the doctor is stuck, and they move the doctor right next to Norna. End of episode 2.
End of episode 2.
What questions do you have for episode 2?
Stuck in a tractor beam.
There should have been 6 episodes. The pace was ridiculous. In the old days it would have been, in the 80s not so much.
A risk shared is a risk doubled. This whole serial, it's very chaotic. There's very little planning. It's kind of like...
The whole series is like that.
They keep having bad rolls on their initiative. They're getting surprised. They don't really get to do any sneak attacks of their own. This one was pretty straightforward. Didn't have a whole lot of questions. I might have one, but we'll circle back around to it. So on to episode 3.
All right, you do episode 3. I'm gonna take a lead.
All right,
You're in episode 3.
Episode 3.
See you in a minute.
Doctor's truck and the tractor beam. Meanwhile, Turlo is totally catatonic. He's running through the cameras. Tractators, and then he runs into Captain Revere. And then there's and Tegan and Revere are there with Turlo. They're going, what's wrong with you, boy? Like, what's happening? He's babbling on. He's literally foaming at the mouth. Just totally out of touch with reality. Just kind of slumped over. He was running, and then he slumped over against a stalagmite or stalactite or whatever. And he's kind of sitting there talking about the tractators. They've infected this world. They destroyed my people. And you're like, what's going on? You know, where's the doctor? Where's my daughter Norna? And Tegan goes, well, I have to go help the doctor. I'll be back, and you stay with Turlo and help him. And Range is like, okay, we'll find my daughter, bring her back to me. So she runs off with the little glow stick lantern, and I'm trying to think. I think it was Tegan. Yeah, it's Tegan. So she comes up, she sees the tractators, like 4 or 5 of them, 5 or 6 of them, in a circle, and they have Nirna and the doctor tractor beamed right there. And the doctor's like, no, Tegan. And then Tegan goes, oh yeah, this glow stick lantern that they're talking about is volatile and is in a very flammable and combustible chamber, you know, not to shake it. She goes, oh, bright idea, light bulb moment. She just chunks the lantern at the feet. It explodes, and then it distracts the tractators enough to where it breaks their mental tractor beam, and Nirna and the doctor are able to escape. So they are running off, and Tegan runs off with them. They make it back to Range and Turlo. So finally, most of the group's back together. And they're talking about, you know, slap out of it, stay out of it, man. What's going on with you? Lots of stuff happens. We flash back and forth between Range, Nirna, Turlo, Tegan, and the doctor under the caverns. It flashes back to Plantagenet and he's been swallowed by the earth, but it flashes back to, what was his name? Brazen, he's the chief orderly, and you kind of see the wheels kind of going off of everything. They think, rumors are starting that the Plantagenet's dead. So a whole bunch of people storm into the med bay to try to get a look at what's going on, if the Plantagenet's dead, if he's gone missing, and they're kind of led by this one guy, Warnman? No. Cockrell. Cockrell is I don't know, he's a character. He comes in with a whole bunch of guards behind him. You go, where's the Plantagenet? And Brazen, cool as a cucumber, he's like, me and the Plantagenet are fine, you don't have permission to get in here. He kicks him back out. Cockrell and a bunch of people just rush the med bay because they're hearing the rumors of Plantagenet had died.
Yes. Well,
and then
he got sucked down by the earth. Yeah.
Brazen plays it off cool as a cucumber.
Brazen's great in this. He's like, yeah. What are you? You're an orderly. Keep order.
Yeah.
You get on with your work, let the Plantagenet and I get on with our work, and he's fantastic in that.
So that's what's going on above ground. Underneath, we talked about how they threw the lantern, it exploded, broke him out of the tractor beam. Now they're kind of trying to shake Turlo out of it, going like, what are you talking about? He's kind of catatonic, he's in shock.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at. So they escape the tractor beam, they're questioning Turlo. Upstairs, the people are hearing rumors that the Plantagenet has gone missing. They rush the med bay. They go, what's going on? Brazen plays it off cool as a cucumber. He goes, me and the Plantagenet are trying to do work, and you guys are interrupting us. Go back to keeping the order.
So
everything's kind of breaking down upstairs.
Right. Anarchy. And Plantagenet said that. He said that had to be my people. There's going to be anarchy.
If they lose their leadership,
and there's anarchy. It just keeps getting worse and worse. Okay, so all right. So Brazen, who's one, like I said, more of the interesting characters in this piece, plays it off beautifully, and then he sees looting going on at the drop ship, the colony ship, and so does Tegan had also seen this, and these people are looting, and Brazen goes, "What are you doing?" And he goes to one of the guys who is an orderly. He says, "You're an orderly. Why are you looting?" Because the guy was putting all this food and stuff into a crate, a metal crate, whatever they call it. And Brazen grabs the guy and they take them out, and the guy thinks they're going to execute him. And Brazen hands him the crate, and the guy's like, "You're going to let me go?" Brazen says, "It's hard to survive here with order, but it's even harder to survive out there with disorder. You're not strong enough to do that, but you make your choice." And the guy heads out and he turns around and he goes, "Everything's done. You know it's done. You know we're finished. Frontios is done. Save yourselves." And he gets about 7 steps away from the colony ship, and he gets mobbed by a whole bunch of the retrogrades, by a whole bunch of the people who left and are now living in anarchy, Mad Max style. And they mob him, beat him, knock him unconscious, and steal the crate of food. And then they see him on the ground, and the earth starts to take him in, the whole deal. And underground, the Doctor and Tegan, who managed to escape and are wandering around, but they keep bumping into these things. They see one of the prawn creatures, one of the tractators, doing a tractor beam, going to pull him under the ground. And the Doctor's like, I am going to try an experiment. And he pulls out an apple out of his jacket. And you think he's going to throw the apple at the tractator, but the tractator sees them. So the tractator stops doing the tractor beam and heads off towards them. The Doctor's like, run. Above ground, there are a bunch of people that see this and see the guy, the orderly, who's being pulled down but then stops being pulled down, stops being sucked into the earth. And they're like, wait a minute, he was being sucked into the earth, but now he's not. A man who can do this can do anything. Anything. What was his name? The orderly who doesn't quite get sucked into the earth, so the retrogrades or whatever give him their allegiance because he's a man that could do anything. Cockrell. Yeah. So they're like, ooh, this guy can do anything. He doesn't get sucked into the earth like everyone else. So they make him their leader. And there's a band of about 20 of them. Yeah,
all the Rets or the retrograders that have been deserting, they kind of rally behind this other guy now that they've lost their leadership, and they're like, well, he's the chosen one. He came back out of the earth.
Yeah.
They're just in a frenzy with panic and
right.
Yeah.
So while all this is going on, in the meantime, Brazen has gone to the laboratory and the research lab, and has decided, because he decided Range was the traitor who was spreading the rumors because he had the file of deaths unaccounted. And when Tegan escaped, she locked them in. Mm-hmm. Finally, they break out of the lab, and they break out of the medical bay. They go to the lab, and finally, Turlo has been escorted by Norna and Range, and he's been spilling everything on the tractators. Mm-hmm. He's been spilling everything on them all the time, going, oh, they do this, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. They destroyed my planet, and this is how they operate, and they do this, and they're the hunger underneath the earth, and over and over.
It's all starting to click.
Yeah, and so the doctor's like, yeah, get them up to the ground, get them up. So finally they get there, and up above, Brazen is waiting for them. And he says, yes, Range, we've been waiting for you. So he takes Range
and the rest of them,
and Norna and Turlo, and he takes them back to the colony ship to what looks like not quite a throne room, a stateroom.
Yeah, it's like their ship's court-martial room.
Well,
they have the
I think they call it the state room or whatever. It's not quite the room, but it's like a place where they do major business.
Yeah, their legal room. They're having basically a military trial. Yeah.
So they're having a military tribunal here on our trial. There's not 3 people on Range. And we see a lady we haven't seen before who's kind of running the trial.
Yeah, she's only ever referred to as deputy, so I guess she's some sort of military police person. And then Brazen, being the chief orderly, he initially pulled Range into this meeting saying, you basically treason. But as Range is starting to talk about, everything he's been keeping track of and how he's not been committing treason, he's only been keeping track of the facts. And then Brazen, there's this turn that it's kind of taken as Brazen goes, well, that's the problem, is you didn't give us this information. He's like, the state made it a secret. I was only tracking the facts. He's like, those facts you kept from us, we could have... He's like, well, you're accusing me of treason for having these facts. He's like, no, the problem is you didn't share these facts because it could have helped us before things started to go downhill. And then this is where Brazen starts to let on that he's kind of been tracking this stuff himself, and he's been very secretive about it.
And then Turlo kicks in, and Turlo starts going on, hey, they mentioned the Terractors or whatever. It's like,
infested.
The earth is hungry. They're going to feed. And Brazen's like, Brazen goes, he says, okay, Deputy, this is off the record. And he puts his hand, this is off the record. Mm-hmm. Deputy puts her pen down, and he goes over to Turlo. And Range, to his benefit, says, as a medical doctor, we can't examine this guy. He's so stressed out, this will cause major problems.
Yeah,
but
they're like, you can't cross-examine him, he's catatonic.
But Brazen's like, you want truth? You want answers? Yeah. This is truth, this is answers. This is what I want. And both are good in this scene.
There's no time for bed rest here.
Yeah. He's like, do you want me not to examine him because he's delicate? And So Brazen starts to get some answer. He sends the guards outside.
Mhm.
Guards go outside. So it's the deputy, Brazen, Range, Norna, and Turlo. And he starts to get answers from Turlo. And to his credit, Brazen ends up ending the trial of Range.
Mhm.
And he takes Turlo and everybody, and they go down to fix everything.
Yeah.
And he trusts them, So they
It's like these tractators. You know where they are. You can show me how to
Yeah.
get there, and then
And
Range
what
is
can-
like,
what
I
can
don't
they
know
do?
if he can.
What can
but
they
I could
do?
Probably,
Yeah.
And
So
he
they-
goes, show me, and
they all go back to the main lab, and they're there, and they pick up the 5 people, because at this point, the last leader is Brazen. And Brazen's like, okay, I need your 5 best people for underground work, and they're going in there to rescue what's his name?
The Plantagenet.
Plantagenet. So they head down to rescue Plantagenet. While they're down there, you see Plantagenet in this weird circular cage.
Right.
And the tractators are like,
They can speak.
they're right.
They're intelligent.
The one can speak.
The one.
Yeah. The Gravis. Gravis starts explaining the plan like a Bond villain to Bond of what they're doing. And he says, yes, we have, we have this machine. And this machine is digging the holes for us. Yada, yada.
Circular, all very mathematical.
And they capture the doctor. They send the machine out. The machine brings the doctor and Tegan over to them. And they're like, oh, she's our new operator of the machine, because the machine needs a human mind to run it.
Right.
But the doctor convinces them, and in a very short scene, you get a feeling like a couple of minutes were clipped out.
It does seem like that, yeah.
There was a bit deleted. In a short scene, he convinces them that she's simply an android or a robot. And they keep her in prison, and the doctor convinces them, I'm a Time Lord, and they know him by reputation, and yada yada. And they're showing him around, telling him all their plans. And then they bring the machine in. And the machine is headed or run by Captain Revere. Literally his bust and his mind is operating the machine, but he's dead. The rest of him is underneath, albeit naked.
Mostly a husk at this point. You see there's just kind of the hollowness in his eyes. He's really just a vessel for
to run the machine.
Yeah.
He's the processor for this computer. His brain is.
They've rewired his...
End of episode 3. Alright.
End of episode 3.
Like I said, this should have been 6 episodes in the old days, because there's a lot to flesh out, and there's a lot you think they deleted to get it down to 4 episodes. Any questions about episode 3?
Mostly I just want to talk about the naming scheme. Like you said, a lot of the colonists that crash landed, they're kind of named after different words like Range and the Plantagenet, but you get that...
And Revere.
The Tractators too, yeah.
And Brazen.
And Brazen and Revere, yeah, they're named after these kind of ideas.
We don't know if this was a naming system on the new colony, or if it just happens to be their names from forever.
I think it was something to do with the writers, because they did the same thing with the villains too. The Tractators are reminiscent of a tractor beam, which they use.
And taters.
And taters. And the Gravis is reminiscent of Gravity, which is kind of his core.
Correct.
Yeah, so it's just fun sci-fi names.
It's silly stuff like unobtainium.
Yeah.
That kind of crap,
So I do wonder...
even a movie like Avatar can have those absolute crap tropes.
Did you see the second Avatar movie?
I haven't seen any of them.
Oh.
I've never seen Avatar or Avatar 2, and I'm sure there's 2 or 3 or 4 more coming.
Are we talking about the Airbender or the blue people? Not.
I was talking about Dances with Smurfs.
Okay. You haven't seen the first one?
No.
Oh.
No, I managed to avoid it. I did see The Last Airbender in the theater, the M. Night Shyamalan movie. It was bad. It was really bad. Okay.
Is it on or A?
Who the hell knows anymore?
So it's a mystery. Back to Doctor Who. It's a mystery why these Earth colonists have these somewhat unearthly names, but you just kind of get that as
just
a
trope
of the serial because they do the same thing there with the villains.
It's like Ender. I mean, from Ender's Game.
Yeah.
I mean, like, what kind of name is Ender? But it fits, you know.
A future sci-fi name. Yeah. Who knows? What
No, he was the third when you shouldn't have a third child, so Ender made sense.
But I mean, if you look at what Elon Musk is naming his kids, does that give you a sense that
I have no idea what his name is.
Do you know Elon Musk's son's name is Axel, but it's like some mathematical equation. It's like the Aether, the AEXI. No. It's dumb. Okay. Doesn't make any sense.
And in previous
and they let
one of these episodes, I told you about Frank Zappa's kids.
Away with it because he has so much money. But if a normal person tries to name their child whatever they want, they say, no, you can't do that. That's cruel and unusual.
It depends.
They tried to name a child Nutella, and the judicial system said you cannot name your child Nutella. It is cruel and unusual, and it'll open up the child to abuse. And then Elon Musk, with his trillions of dollars, goes, I'm going to name my sons AEXial mathematical equation. We go, oh, that's fine.
He probably had a better lawyer. He probably had a better lawyer.
Well, I mean, obviously you can be like, well, I have tons of money. He won't be bullied. He'll be in private schools. They're like, oh, yeah, but so dumb.
All right.
Either you can or you can't name your child whatever you want.
Well,
money, but
episode 4.
Episode 4. So, meanwhile, Nirna is still up top, right? As everyone else was. Wait, where are we? So they just found Captain Revere. Nirna was left at the top.
Wait. Yeah, they just found Captain Revere, and the Doctor has shown this is our ship, and this is our machine.
Have we talked about Turlo was up top with Nirna with the coins yet?
Kind of. Then Turlo went down.
Yeah, so it's just Nirna by herself up top. And we have some Rets or retrograders kind of sneaking in, trying to scavenge some food. And Nirna takes like really cool, decisive action. As he's like stepping down.
She throws him down.
And throws him. But then she falls for the oldest trick in the book. As
I'm
he's
unconscious,
down,
but I'm not when you
he
come
feigns,
in.
unconsciousness.
Yeah.
So she goes to get a closer look and grab.
And this is where Doctor Who 20th century proves it's a family show. Because just like when Romana was held captive by those bands of brigands, and she was a beautiful young lady, and all these single men, and none of them thought of raping her, same scenario. The single, like, there's hardly any women in this colony. They almost all seem to be men, you know? And here's one of the few young female pretty guards, or pretty people, and she's captive, and none of them think of raping her. They just tie her up, you know, which is 20th century British proper Doctor Who, which makes sense.
To play devil's advocate, the sky is falling, right? Their judicial social structure is breaking down. All they're interested in is in survival and food. So he went down there to get food. So he's not interested in his basic manly urges.
One of those men.
He's like, get her, tie her
at
up.
least one of them.
I'm here for the food. She's
no, but that's
life is about to end.
That's the propriety of a British show, even at a family level, especially back then. And I like it.
Mm-hmm.
It goes a little against nature, but I do like it. I do enjoy it. Anyway, so they come in to the research lab.
Yes.
They capture her, they tie her up, and they're being led by Cockrell.
Yeah, Cockrell comes in, and I'm assuming that's why they because it's just the one guy that snuck in to steal the food.
Well, no, there's many more after.
And then they all shuffled in with Cockrell, and I'm sure he was the one that's like, I just tie her up. Because he's kind of like their new de facto
leader.
Plantagenet.
Yeah.
Is what he calls
In fact, he says I'm on the second Plantagenet. So anyway, in the meantime, underground
with Captain Revere.
Captain Revere's died. He's being replaced. It was he on the machine at the end of episode 3.
Dry, yeah.
He was sucked dry. The doctor closes his eyes, and they're going to replace him with his son, Plantagenet. And the doctor is trying to figure out how the machine works, how the connections work. And he's trying to help Plantagenet. And he talks to Plantagenet about that. Mm-hmm. He says, when I say run, run. And when I say do this, just listen to me. And Plantagenet's like, when? He says, when I tell you. What is that? I'll figure it out.
Just wondering that myself.
Exactly, just wondering that myself. So the doctor goes around. In the meantime, the crew of
Cockrell?
No, not Cockrell.
Brazen's crew.
Brazen,
yeah.
His 5 men, and at that point, Range are going through the tunnels. Mm-hmm. Range is like, I can't do this. I don't know this place. And eventually, Turlo comes down, meets up with him, and then Range heads back while Turlo leads them on.
Yeah, Range is like, you're supposed to be up there with my daughter. And he goes, I thought you guys would need help. He's like, well, if you're down here, I'm going back up to there. Yeah. And then Brazen was like, oh, it's just as well. He didn't know his way. You must lead us. He goes, okay, well.
So Turlo leads him. Turlo leads him in, and he leads them to the tractator holding Tegan. And he leads them in, and they manage to overtake him. Mm-hmm. And then they go.
They're just clubbing this poor shrimp person.
So they rescue her, they keep going in, and they're trying to save everybody. And they eventually get to the main cabin with, or the main cavern with the machine. And they come in, they cause all this chaos. And the doctor manages to grab one of the bits, and he shocks Gravis. Mm-hmm. Gravis goes down, and the doctor manages to rescue Plantagenet.
I thought this would be somewhat explained, but it never was. They talked about how they couldn't. They had the drilling machine, but they couldn't pilot the drilling machine. They could only pilot it with
a human
brain. And then so as soon as the connector touched the Gravis, it shocked him, and he kind of went,
it's some sort of electromagnetical thing that connects to things, and somehow Gravis got hit by it. I don't know.
Okay.
It's Doctor Who stuff. All right, so
can you imagine? Right, you're a caveman. They're like, I have this great new machine that's gonna industrialize everything. Except we can't pilot it. I made it for squirrels. It would be like, why? Well, we couldn't fit in the machine. It's like, well, why didn't you just make a machine for us?
Oh my gosh, have you seen Snowpiercer?
Yeah, I have seen Snowpiercer.
Oh god,
with the children,
it's
and
bad.
Only the children can fit in the.
I hate that movie. God, I hate that movie.
Have you heard the theory that's the sequel to Charlie and the Chocolate
Factory? Anyway,
I hear they're coming out with a series.
They did.
They did.
It was bad.
Is it like a?
I didn't watch it, but it was bad.
That's the default. Yeah.
Alright, so the doctor
most things
pulls Plantagenet out, but Turlo is still mesmerized by the memories of his ancestral race, and he's pulled towards the machine. And to his credit, Brazen goes in to keep Turlo from going to the machine and gets pushed by Turlo into the machine. And Brazen gets hooked into everything by the machine, which does is grabbing and hooking real quick. Mm-hmm. And Dark's like, let me help you. And Brazen's like, the ultimate end of his wonderful character arc is like, no, get away. Save yourselves, slave Plantagenet, go. And everyone else leaves, and Brazen becomes the new mind of the machine.
Mm-hmm. And Brazen's character arc really also meshes well with Turlo's overall character progression. As he was upstairs with Myrna. He says, of course, he's debating going down. And she goes, no one's expecting you to go back down. He goes, of course, no one's expecting Turlo to go down. I'm a coward. And then he makes his own.
Turlo.
Yeah, he makes his own fate by pick a hand, whichever hand has a coin in it. He had a coin in both hands, so he already made up his mind to go down to help the others. And I feel like that was his same motivation as he was about to get into the drilling machine. I think that was his attempt to save everyone else. He goes, they're running away from the tractators. They're not going to make it. There has to be someone that holds them back. So he's going for this machine, and he's about to get into it. And he's kind of, in this catatonic state where he has sort of this mesh of ancestral memories.
Yeah,
and he's about to get into the machine to save everyone else. And then it's Brazen that pulls him away and goes, he's the one that sacrifices himself so Turlo can be saved. And Turlo doesn't have to sacrifice himself, but he's willing to do so. So it's this great culmination of these two character arcs. You see the progression of Turlo's character and the climax of Brazen's. His end as he sacrifices himself.
Right. And the doctor figured out that the whole purpose of these tunnels was kind of like a super collider.
A gravity well,
a super collider, where they would use the gravity well to move the plane around to invade other worlds. We've seen this in Dalek's Invasion of Earth. Mm-hmm. We see this later on in another Doctor Who story, the end of
the Pirate Planet, maybe.
Yeah, a little bit in the Pirate Planet, but also later on in the Utopia trilogy. It's a common theme where they use a planet to go invade other planets, and they move it around with gravity and all that. Anyway, so Brazen, and this is another scene that seems to be cut. Yeah. And I don't like that, but like I said, it should have been in 6 episodes. Brazen ends up using the will of his mind to destroy the machine, and in a last act of defiance and glory for his people, which I love.
Just hear that happen off screen, and then you're left to the Doctor kind of narrating, like,
not that, but I mean, they show the Pterodactyls talking about it mostly, and and it's sad, and it is what it is. But it's like, okay, and he did this in, thank the Lord for him. And then the main group is running away, and they're trying to get away, and they have one orderly with them, one guard.
One left.
Yeah, and he gets sucked away. And then they roll into this...
He was wearing a red shirt,
Yeah, he was wearing a red shirt.
It's just
then they roll into this area that looks like the TARDIS.
It looks like, there's
the
bits
cave.
Of cave wall mixed in with TARDIS paneling.
TARDIS, the roundels and all the wall. And eventually, Tegan is like by herself. She's kind of left behind. And she's kind of like scaling these walls backwards. And she's like, no. And then she goes through the door, which is the outer door, into the console.
She's cornered by a couple of tractators and the Gravis. And they go, you're captured, and she goes, and she backs into the TARDIS, and she's, well, I'm safe, I'm in this TARDIS.
Control room.
And then she hears the Doctor, glad you could join us.
Yeah, and she goes, they're right outside, and they're just like, well, I was hoping they would be. And because when they were waiting, Turlo said, I know what they're I know what they're doing, or I know what their plans are,
Yeah.
what they've done, and Plantagenet
said,
said,
I know what they're doing. And Turlo says, I know what they're wanting to do.
Yeah.
And the doctor
says,
says, oh, perfect.
Good. We'll figure out the plan. Yeah. So the doctor's like, okay, everyone get down. We need to get the Gravis in, and we just separate him from the rest of them. Because he's the hive mind.
Yeah.
He's the queen bee. If he's separated from them, they're just basic, harmless
tunneling
grubs.
Yeah.
And he will lose his power as well because he will not have their abilities. So the doctor tricks the Gravis to come into the TARDIS, and he's like, no, take whatever you want, but I'm going to leave my friends in my TARDIS. And the Gravis is like, no, I will have the ability of travel because I've been stuck here for millennia. Although it's only 500 years, just centuries. I've been stuck here without the ability to travel. I will have the ability to travel. So despite the fact that TARDIS is fractured amongst all these different places, and the Doctor himself cannot bring it to come together, which is weird for both him and the TARDIS. We never see this again until possibly Trenzalore.
To do with the TARDIS weirdly materializing within this cavernous wall. And then he leads the Gravis in, and he shows him the controls, and he goes, if you're wanting to take the TARDIS in, please don't throw me in the briar patch, anything but the briar patch.
Please don't press these buttons, yeah.
And then the Gravis uses his gravity tractor beams and the TARDIS controls to kind of
reconstitute the TARDIS, yeah. And after he does that, after he's tricked into doing that, thank the Doctor, he just goes thump and falls upon the control panel.
Because the TARDIS rematerializing cut off his
in its own dimension. So he's cut off from the grubs.
So that's why. Okay.
So he no longer has their power. They no longer have his power. They're no longer connected. Mm-hmm. They go drop him off on some completely uninhabited world. Cole Cochran. They drop him off there. That'd be funny if it came up later.
Which is why I was thinking they named a planet. He's there. He's the big evil. He's been separated. Is he gonna come back? Maybe Cole Cochran shows up and the crowd.
Not as of yet.
Not yet, but maybe. That's always my number one question. We see this film.
So they drop him off. They don't show up. They drop him off on Cole Cochran. All the rest of the Tractators turn to grubs. They are irrelevant. So the humans on the planet are able to thrive at this point, and they don't have Brazen anymore because he sacrificed himself, but they have
Plantagenet's back.
Plantagenet.
They have Cockerel, which I guess
No. Yeah, well, they do have Cockerel, and they have what's his name?
Range,
and his daughter
Norna.
And they're like, okay. They're just like, cool. They're like, what can we do for you, Doctor? You've done so much right. She says, don't mention it. And he goes in there.
He gives them the hat rack.
Yes, he gives them the hat rack. And hat rack is a way to remember him by. Here, have this hat rack.
He's trying to get rid of it.
And apparently. And then Tika's like, no, seriously. He means it literally. Don't mention it to anyone, especially the Time Lords. And Turlo says the same thing, and then they go in the TARDIS. And they're in the TARDIS, and there's some sort of gravitational pull pulling them towards somewhere.
The center of the universe. Which is
one
Gallifrey is?
No, but it's one of the rare continuations in this era.
Where it picks up right after.
Story to another, right? And that's the end of episode 4. End of Frontios. What other questions you have for me for episode 4 and for overall?
Let's see here. We covered several of them while going through here.
Mm-hmm.
What was going on with the TARDIS this whole serial?
It's never truly explained, but we went over some of it.
Why the sudden urge for the Doctor to get rid of the hat stand? Why is he wanting to remodel? Are they about to redo the set of the control room? They need an excuse.
Eventually, but not no time soon. Like, we have the same set for the next 2 Doctors.
Oh, just a random wanting to get rid of the hat rack
thing, yeah.
Alrighty. Let's see here. It's mostly a straightforward serial.
But it should
Other
have
than
been 6
some
episodes.
of the, it
really
was
should have
very
been 6
packed. Yeah, that was the thing. And it did feel like a few scenes had been cut a little bit short.
Yes.
And they cut out
or edited
something
out entirely.
and replaced it with just like a couple lines of dialogue.
Yeah.
Because they ran out of time or something. And the recaps were pretty short too. So it feels like, yeah, definitely it should have been at probably 5 at least.
At least, if not 6.
And that's about it. Do we ever see the Tractators again? Which
Not as of yet, no.
And then... Oh, and you're tearing me apart, Lisa. Alright, that's it. That's all.
There's a scene where Trillo's like, "You're tearing me apart." And
He's
we were
got
like,
the tractor
room,
beam.
"You're tearing me
And
apart."
Brazen's pulling his
Lisa.
leg. And he goes, "You're tearing me apart."
Doctor Who news.
Doctor Who news.
Okay.
60th anniversary?
Yep. Okay. So first of all, we are continuously getting closer to the main group. We're just a season behind.
Just a season.
Yep.
They're on the, they're past Davison, right?
Right. The main group is Owen Cullen Baker, the 6th Doctor, which is the next season from where we are. We're on the last season of Davison.
Is that all the way up there?
Yes, Cullen Baker is the one at the very top on the left. Davison is the one just to his... Yeah.
It's weird they have 2 bakers.
Well, it's just a common name in England. Second thing is we now have a date for...
Oh, they announced the date.
Yeah.
For
we
what?
We have a date for the... was it the Underwater Menace?
The animated, when they...
The next animated one, which... Oh, I'm reasonably drunk. Which is why I switched it to the Truly.
Was it one of Trouton's that they're animating?
Yes, it's a Trouton serial.
When are they ever going to finish animating Hardnals? You got a ton.
Okay, no, Trouton had the most things that need to be animated, the most
really?
missing episodes.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
by far. And
That's a shame.
they're working on his,
So good.
and they're working on Trouton's, and they will all hopefully be finished by like 2028. But there is a serial, Fury from the Deep, or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Off the top of my head, I can't think of it. But we have a date for that in January.
Cool.
So we're getting next month in November.
Getting all caught up.
There's a series 1 to 13 box set that's coming out, which I already have all of it on Blu-ray. There's a box of series 1 to 13 on Blu-ray coming out next month, and then
Coming out with that now that they've animated.
no, the series, not the seasons. The new stuff, not the old stuff. Then the next animation is coming out in January. And then in February, we're getting season 20, which is the one we're on right now, but that's finally coming out in Blu-ray. And we don't have a date yet for the 60th anniversary episodes, but hopefully that's coming soon.
I mean, it has to be because the 60th anniversary is coming soon, right?
Well, yeah, next month.
Yeah.
But the release date for that on DVD and Blu-ray, we don't know yet.
Oh yeah, that's probably good.
But yeah, lots of good Doctor Who news. And any other questions, any of that?
I think that's about got it.
All right. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for joining us.
Where we're doing...
Vacuos.
What? No.
The other side of Frontios.
Resurrection
of the Daleks.
Only two episodes. Resurrection of the Daleks.
Tune in next week for a short one. Only an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Where we discussed what was that? Last time was 2 episodes. That was what, an hour and 20 minutes?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm in the sky. I like in the sky.
Sing our outro through.
See you next week. Da-da-bum-ba-da-bum.